Right, let's try again with this live streaming the gubbins when I realised that I'd fucked up. So, yes, I'm doing a different game now. I'm doing Dear Esther, because why not? Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Something to do. Right, let's start a thing. There's lots of stuff you can do on this game, so here we go. Oh, there's stuff falling off the bed.
Dear Esther, the morning after I was washed ashore, salt in my ears, sand in my mouth, and the waves always at my ankles, I felt as though everything had conspired to this one last shipwreck. I remembered nothing but water, stones in my belly and my shoes, threatening to drag me under to where only the most listless of creatures swim.
Really know or remember, but apparently it's like a rather good game. He liked it, and he can be a bit of a fussy walk with games, so if he likes it, it must be good.
He's not fussy, but like getting down to the street. That's right. He'll do anything.
Yes, he's a bit of a fussy walk, so any games that either your brother or your dad say are good, then I take their word for it. And hello, Classic. Yeah, it's fine if you're sort of lurking, that's not a problem. Had a bit of a change from the game I was planning to play because I made a bit of a technical fuck up. Didn't realise I needed to download the other episode, so I thought, as this was here ready to go, I thought bugger it, I can...
You did a snafu.
Yeah, I thought sod it, I'll do Dear Esther and Life is Strange Before the Storm as and I can flip between each one.
Wait, what? Why? What? Sorry, my brain just went...
I was just saying that I'll have both games as live streaming doodads, this and Life is Strange, so I can alternate.
Yeah, you have to take... Oh God.
I probably don't want to go that way then. Yeah, I thought I was like, yeah, I'm going to play that. Oh wait, hang on, I need to download all the other episodes. Maybe I won't play that then. Wonder if I've got to go along that path. But yeah, hopefully I will be playing Life is Strange tomorrow instead. It'll give it a chance to download and the gubbins. Yeah. Is that out there with like Merry Christmas?
Merry
Christmas. To be honest, Classic, I don't know. I think it might be a walking sim type game.
It's bloody gorgeous.
Yeah, it is a very pretty game, I'll give it that. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure. All I really remember is that the father-in-law played it on PC some months back, and I just remember it being rather pretty and quite interesting looking, because I think you get like random little puzzles that you have to like solve and all that with guttings. So at the moment I'm kind of wandering around a bit blind, like, okay, what do I do? So I wonder if I have to go up there.
There was once talk of a wind farm out here, away from the rage and the intolerance of the masses.
Why have you got a towel in its bed?
The sea, they said, is too rough for the turbines to stand.
Ooh,
They clearly never came here to experience the becalming for themselves.
Mrs.
Personally, I would have supported it. Turbines would be a fitting contemporary refuge for a
Say it's
hermit.
not like you,
The
dear, to be
revolution
slow.
and the permanence.
Ooh, that's what she said. No, I'm not going to
I like how all you can see
Ah, there we go.
I like the sun.
That just looked a bit creepy actually on camera. Oh,
A wonderful sight. The moon cresting the junction between the cliff path and the stone circle. It cast a shadow of the ridge across the beach, all the world as if you had signed your name in untidy handwriting.
it's alright, I've got a cup of tea right here. As well as the water bottle.
I've got a small amount of coke. As in drinking.
I was going to say, are we talking about the drinking kind or the sniffing kind?
No, I think it's something like that.
Fair enough. I love the effects from the flowers. Oh yes, so like 4 weeks time you don't get to do
When
the
someone
thing,
had
then you
died or
walk
was
around.
dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath.
Probably, knowing
You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
Every time I go to see them, they cut my favourite live performance out.
They were God-fearing people, those shepherds. There was no love in the relationship. Donnelly tells me that they had one Bible that was passed around in strict rotation. It was stolen by a visiting monk in 1776, 2 years before the island was abandoned altogether. In the interim, I wonder, did they assign chapter and verse to the stones and grasses, marking the geography with a superimposed significance that they could actually walk the Bible and inhabit its contradictions?
But I'm just sat there going, I'm going to Google this.
I think when like the father-in-law was playing it, I think at the beginning there is a bit of walking about, but then I think once you start finding like it does start getting a bit more interesting. I think there is like a lighthouse or something over there. I don't know if that's a cave there.
Oh, okay. So the first time
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life.
Right, looks like there's a cave over here, so let's go and have a shifty, see what's going on. I do like the sky physics. I like the way they've done that with all the clouds. Yeah, I mean, even if there's not much gameplay, I'd be quite happy just to wander around and look at all the pretty graphics. Oh, hello!
I threw my arms wide
Gunner.
and the cliff opened out before me,
I do believe I
making
saw
this
you very
rough home.
briefly in
I transferred my belongings from the bothy on the mount and tried to live here instead.
It's helpful.
It was cold at night, and the sea lapped at the entrance at high tide. To climb the peak, I must first venture even deeper into the veins of the island, where the signals are blocked altogether. Only then will I understand them, when I stand on the summit and they flow into me, uncorrupted.
Ooh, there's some pretty artwork here. But yes, welcome everyone to the stream. I had to have a quick change up from the game that I planned to do, because I was going to do the next chapter of Life is Strange Before the Storm, but I forgot to download the other chapters, didn't I, like a pleb, so I thought, sod it, this is ready to go, so, but hopefully Life is Strange Before the Storm will be coming tomorrow and Wednesday, fingers crossed. So hopefully they should be all downloaded and ready by then. But yeah, I'm okay, Gunner. I actually managed to get myself a new job today. I went for an interview as a, went for just basically lols, and ended up getting it really, so I was quite impressed with that. Oh, maybe not. Okay. So obviously I can't. I thought I might have been able to swim over. But yes, I'll have, Oh, well, good luck, Gunnar. I hope you do get the job. It'd be nice if we could all get ourselves new jobs and such like. Cave again, see if I've got a way that I can walk round, maybe. Oh, I'll make sure I'm wearing the best socks, don't you worry. Right. Did I miss something in the cave? That we walk round, maybe? I need to get to that lighthouse over there. So the trouble with going into something like this completely blind, I'm a bit, I don't know where I'm meant to be going or what I'm meant to be doing, but let's just admire all the pretty stuff. It's fine. In the meantime, we can just admire how pretty this game is, so it's fine.
He still maintains he wasn't drunk, but tired. I can't make the judgment or the distinction anymore. I was drunk when I landed here, and tired too. I walked up the cliff path in near darkness and camped in the bay where the trawler lies beached. It was only at dawn that I saw the bothy and decided to make my temporary lodgings there. I was expecting just the aerial and a transmitter stashed in a weatherproof box somewhere on the mount. It had an air of uneasy permanence to it. Like all the other buildings here, erosion seems to have evaded it completely.
Obviously I must be some chap who is stranded on an island type thing by the sound of it. I'm just going to wander and hope for the best and see what happens. But yeah, I hope it goes well for you tomorrow, Gunner. Oh, hang on, a thing's happening.
Give me 10 euro.
Yes, please.
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my ordnance survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence.
Oh, Gunner's
It's somewhere
going
between
for
the
a job
turn-off for Sanford
tomorrow.
and the welcome brake services. But although
And
I
I'll
can
just
always
say
see it
that,
in my
like, I hope
rearview
it
mirror,
all goes
I have
well
as yet
for
been
him.
unable to pull ashore.
Don't forget to make the best hops.
Yeah, me and Classic were just like talking about gubbins.
I was always told by my nan that I first get this like
Yeah, I always heard that one.
Yeah.
So make sure you're always wearing clean matching underwear.
in case you get hit by a bus. I'm like, I don't think my underwear choices will affect a crossing road.
And to be fair, I think paramedics are going to be more worried about making sure they keep you alive rather than what you got on.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, looks like there's a wrecked ship here. So I wonder if that's the wreckage we thingy Medulla or whatnot. My brain just forgot what it was doing halfway through that sentence. It was like, sod it. Oh dear.
At the moment, I'm a I've got red hair now.
I'm just a potato. My hair was kind of like reddish, but it's like washed out a little bit now. Been kind of like wandering to see what happens. I'm guessing I can't get on the ship. Oh. Right, let's go and walk up this path and see what happens.
Hey, listen, if Ben Hardy was narrating this, he'd be like, this is shit.
Probably would actually, to be fair.
It's only at night that this place makes any sluggish effort at life. You can see the buoy and the aerial. I've been taking to sleeping through the day in an attempt to resurrect myself. I can feel the last days drawing upon me. There's little point now in continuation. There must be something new to find here. Some nook or some cranny that offers a perspective worth clinging to.
Because why not?
I've burnt my
I was
bridges.
watching bloody clips of the
I've sunk
Taste
my
with a lot of
boats
the
and
questions
watched them
on
go
it,
to
and ever
water.
since I've seen that, my brain has not let it go. Or like Elsa. The thing about something was flashing on the ship, and I thought that it was an indication that there was something was happening. the bouncy.
Yeah, that's the thing that's in the water.
There's a bobby bouncy thing in the water. There's so many flashy things.
You what?
You haven't done Fallout in ages.
I will do Fallout again on the channel. Do you just want me to recreate Kai again so you can perv on him?
I was talking about Hancock.
Oh, I don't know, Kai, Hancock, Nick Valentine, pick one. I'll perv on all of them.
I'll have the Creedy, thanks.
Ah, okay then. Yeah, because you're just a...
He's Matt Mercer, okay?
You're just a Philistine.
Listen, Matt Mercer could voice a polar bear on acid and I would still find it attractive. Because it's his voice.
And to be fair, you're a furry, so...
Exactly. What animal did I just...
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both
we
blurred.
have a wild badger in the stream.
Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape.
Hi, Dad.
And you have been rendered opaque by the car of a
Don't bury
drunk.
me alive. There is a game that Badger hasn't played. I'm fucking shook.
I think I mainly downloaded this one because I remember it was, I think, dirt cheap at the time, so I thought, sod it, I'll have a bit of that.
You know what else is dirt cheap? Mud.
I was going to say your face.
I'm expensive, thank you very much.
Oh, hang on, we found some things.
I'm so expensive.
I've begun to climb, away from the sea and towards the centre. It is a straight line to the summit, where the evening begins to coil around the aerial and squeeze the signals into early silence. The bothy squats against the mount to avoid the gaze of the aerial. I too will creep under the island like an animal and approach it from the northern shore.
Yeah. It's Dean Ambrose's house.
Ooh, hang on, this looks like there's blood and implements down there. Something's been going on. Well, I just said blood and implements, I didn't specify what they were.
Have you seen the implements that they use to get staples out of?
No, and I don't want to.
God! When I had my staples taken out of my wound, she brought the sisters over and I was like, I hope you're drugging me up to do this. No! What?
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalised into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jacobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders.
Sure, I just saw someone up there.
He came here every summer
away.
whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either.
Well, I just saw something that looked like a person just up here. I thought, do I just see a thing or is there someone up there? I don't think there's anything
My
like
heart is landfill. These false dawns waking into the still never light. I sweat for you in the small hours and wrap my blankets into a mass. I've always heard the waves break on these lost shores, always the gulls forgotten. I can lift this bottle to my ear, and all there ever is for me is this Hebridean music.
Badger will know this. Oh, that's another walking sim. Oh, you have to figure out something about little boy.
That's useful.
Oh, it's so very similar. Oh. Fun.
editor comments that at this point Donnelly was going insane as syphilis tore through his system like a drunk driver. He's not to be trusted. Many of his claims are unsubstantiated, and although he does paint a colourful picture, much of what he says may have been derived directly from his fever.
Oh, sure.
But I've been here, and I know, as Donnelly did, that this place is always half imagined. Even the rocks and caves will shimmer and blur with the right eyes. They found Jakobsen in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. His fingernails were raw and bitten to the quick. They found the phosphorescent moss that grows in the caves deep under the nails. Whatever he'd been doing under the island when his strength began to fail is lost. He'd struggled halfway up the cliff again, perhaps in a delirium, perhaps trying to reach the Bothy's fire before curling into a stone and expiring. Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the Bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
Ooh, let's just take a moment to admire just how nice this cave is. This is definitely just going to be a wander around and admire the graphics game, because sod everything else. Wait, hang on. A thing happened.
Okay. That was... I really need to sneeze. Hey, you got a trophy. Jakobsen. Or is it Jakobsen?
I don't know. Right, so I've slid down a cave or something.
Donnelly's addiction is my one true constant. Even though I wake in false dawns and find the landscape changing, flowing in constantly through my tears,
Badger?
I know his reaching is always upon me.
Stranger. Okay. Oh wow, this is a bit
Ooh. Now this is so nice. That must have been where I slid from. Okay.
How the fuck are you standing after that?
I don't know. Apparently my character's got an infected, injured leg as well.
Someone had taken the car and shaken it like a cocktail. The glove compartment had been opened and emptied with the ashtrays and the boot. It made for a crumpled museum, a shattered exhibition.
I have no idea if that's going to be a relevant thing. I just noticed like they've got the water reflection on there.
What game is it?
I just noticed that. I thought, ooh.
I'm
guessing it's probably one of the later, more fancy ones.
so it's
Ah, so it's sauce.
Yeah.
I've downloaded them, everyone's gone for Rapture, so maybe that'll be another one I can do afterwards.
Oh, this is a Half-Life 2 mod. This side of the Half-Life 2 mod.
What, as its own thing?
Yeah. The company originated as a market for Half-Life 2 based at the University of Portsmouth.
Wow, so the people who basically did this game originally studied down here.
Yeah.
Neat.
The headquarters is in Wales.
Ah, well I learnt a thing. I didn't know the team behind this studied in Pompey.
Yeah, they also did Amnesia, some different things,
Ah. And people moan about all the students that have come down to Portsmouth. I think, well, if they're creating good gubbins like this, okay. Rock, I thought it was something else. Nice. So that's little mushrooms on there.
No, it's not in Portsmouth, it's a mushroom.
Oh dear. Oh dear. You did something, I know that. Don't think Badger's talking to us anymore, he's being smelly. I'm just wandering around
If the
caves.
caves are my guts, this must be the place where the stones are first formed. The bacteria phosphoresce and rise, singing through the tunnels. Everything here is bound by the rise and fall, like a tide. Perhaps the whole island is actually underwater.
Let's keep going and see where we end up. This just reminds me of the river caves ride in Blackhorse.
Oh, the right thing. Yeah, it's fine. The first bit I go, if I look to the left, there's a pissing shark.
Oh, it's not a real shark, stop being such a baby.
I don't care, it's too realistic for my liking. I have a theory you're playing it because there's no way you can. I'm wondering if this game.
No, I can't go that way. If this game what?
I'm wondering if this game started off
As a thing?
When I was coming round from the operation, I remember the light they shone in my eyes to check for pupil contraction. It was like staring up at a moonlit sky from the bottom of a well. People moved at the summit, but I could not tell if you were one of them.
Just going to get closer to it and see if you can figure out what it says.
the whole massive.
There's obviously more doodlings.
Ghetto stack.
Did you fuck it up?
Yep. Yep, don't worry. I can say it in my head, but then my brain works.
really what's going on. I'm just sort of wandering around caves and I'm just like, yeah, wait, what?
You know you like stuff to shit when you're going by walking sim. Away from
I think that's what this is.
I so thought that said just away from being gay. I'm like, I don't think you can take a vacation from queerness. I shall be fungus.
I have no idea. It's hard to see what some of this says.
This is like a round into someone tripping on acid. To be honest, there's a lot of mushrooms, so.
Yeah.
Are you going to do a Brian Starker minute? Like, you know, you're going to be tripping balls?
Probably.
Swimming female. What?
I have no idea. Probably. Right, I'm gonna have to go in the water.
Yeah, you. So it's got a hissing shark. Why would shark be in the cave? Oh, I don't know. This is game development. They'll just put sharks in wherever.
Yeah, 'cause lols.
It's like whenever I play a nice game. You're doing well. And then it's like a shark in my face. And I'm like, what? Not playing it. I'm not. I've got 8 games but I haven't completed it because I kept the shark.
Oh, there we go. I think we're going into another bit.
I must say, your character has balls when he goes out there. Oh, what? Huh?
Okay, because this is not completely weird. What in the actual buggery? I'm guessing I have to walk along the road.
You guessed correctly. Well done, Mickey King. Haven't you?
Okay, I think I've got to go this way now.
I wonder if there are down there. Oh, ow.
I must admit, considering this is the console version, the graphics do hold up pretty bloody well. I mean, okay, it probably doesn't stand up for toffee next to like your dad's like powerful PCs, but
I don't know what this is.
exactly. But I think for a console, it still holds up pretty bloody well. Because I remember it being very shiny on the PC downstairs. Oh, I'm getting a bit warm now. I'm going to take the dressing gown off. Oh. Yep. Okay, I've got another trophy called Esther. Oh, charming princess.
Calm down.
No dying, please, princess. Thank you. Oh, looks like there's a tent in there. Oh, well, I'm sorry that I didn't have the episodes downloaded for
The moon over the Sandford Junction, headlights in your retinas. Donnelly drove a grey hatchback without a bottom. All the creatures of the tarmac rose to sing to him. All manner of symbols crudely scrawled across the cliff face of my unrest. My life reduced to an electrical diagram. All my gulls have taken flight. They will no longer roost on these outcrops. The lure of the moon over the Sanford Junction is too strong.
Yeah, I keep finding all these paper pots, so it's making me wonder if it's my character that's been randomly going around painting things.
Assemble our own version of the North Shore. We will scrawl in dead languages and electrical diagrams and hide them away for future theologians to muse and mumble over. We will send a letter to Esther Donnelly and demand her answer. We will mix the paint with ashes and tarmac and the glow from our infections. We will paint a moon over the Sanford Junction and blue lights falling like stars along the hard shoulder. I can't think of the word. That's the one. I recognised it, I just couldn't think of the words. A thing with a bob that does the Ujima flips.
Welcome to my brain on a daily basis. So I know what that is. It's like military truck with a roundy gun. You mean a tank?
So do you mean a tank, dear?
That's what I described it.
Well, at least you have an excuse, like with basically your mental health and possibly
being a spastic.
Yeah, and having your sort of autism and such. So you kind of at least have excuses.
I think also at the time I was like very tired, so I was quite rangy stuff. Thanks, there you go. Ta-da!
Whereas I just come out with it's a Ujima bob that does a thing with.
There were chemical stains on the tarmac.
Yeah.
The leak of air conditioning, brake fluid and petrol. He kept sniffing at his fingers as he sat by the roadside, waiting as if he couldn't quite understand or recognise their smell. He said he'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter. He'd stopped for farewell drinks earlier, but had kept a careful eye on his intake.
Let's see if I can get to the
He could hear the sirens above the idling traffic.
beginning and sort of figure out what it says. I think that says light from heaven shone around. See if we can figure out this other word. Shone around him.
Okay, so this is a lot. This is sounding very cult-like.
Yeah, because this is just totally not weird at all.
I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
That's to see all the little letters he's turned into paper boats. Oh dear, is all I'm saying to that.
Bam.
In it. Mush.
Don't bring me. Don't bring me. I'm alive in the minute.
Shush. Good luck.
You know, I swear it is like crying a bastard has a shit ton. You know from my cold, is it my cold dead hands or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that with it.
Isn't it with Anthony though? It's like trying to pry like
When Paul keeled
what are
over
those
dead
little
on the road to
creatures that, like,
Damascus, they resuscitated him by
rocks?
hitting him in the chest with stones gathered by the roadside.
basically like you
He
know,
was lifeless for 21 minutes, certainly long enough for the oxygen levels in his brain to have decreased and caused hallucinations and delusions of transcendence. I'm running out of painkillers, and the moon has become almost unbearably bright.
There's a person over there. Sure of it.
Not like that.
That's not at all creepy.
No, it's not.
Sure that was the shape I saw earlier.
I bet we can get
Oh, it'll probably scuttle off, yeah.
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark,
Yeah, looks like they're
we will
gone
come
now.
together.
If I walk up round that way. Yeah, they're definitely gone.
Whenever stuff like that happens, I have been literally conditioned to expect a jump scare.
I think it's just a thing, isn't it, you expect? Sitting here in proceeding on his journey.
And as he was,
Oh, and as he was. Is this when I do the whole learn to read scrub. Nah. I refuse to play Dark Souls.
Bloodborne?
No. Because I know how evilly hard they are. God's sake, woman. How old are you? Yeah, I've never played Dark Souls or Bloodborne games because I basically refuse point blank because I know how evilly hard they are.
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
See, I'm a bit of a pussy gunner. I don't like games that are like really just evilly, overly difficult because then I just get really pissy and just don't ever play them again. Oh, what, on the old NES? Oh, yeah, 'cause I think... Oh, on the old NES, yeah.
There are headlights reflected in these retinas. Too long in the tunnels of my island without a bottom. The sea creatures have risen to the surface, but the gulls are not here to carry them back to their nests. I've become fixed, open and staring, an eye turned on itself. I've become an infected leg whose tracking lines form a perfect map of the junctions of the M5. I will take the exit at mid-thigh and plummet to my Esther.
Oh, no, it's fine. I say each to their own, to be honest. Yeah, I'll just leave all the really like madly difficult games to everybody else. I'm like, I'm one of these people, it's like, I don't mind a bit of a challenge, but it's like, if it's just going to be a case of I'm just going to be stuck in the first 2 minutes of the game and not get anywhere, I'll be like, nah, I don't want to play it. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if that's because of Mad Nicholson. Thought so. Throwback Top Gun.
A gull perched on a spent bonnet, sideways, whilst the sirens fell through the middle distance and the metal moaned in grief about us. I'm about this night in walking, old bread and gull bones.
Thing is, whenever I think of the Top Gun game on NES, I just think of the video that Angry Video Game did of it, and he just got sort of like so like frustrated and he turns off his lights alone. Like, why does this game decide to be so evil to me? There was no in between. They were either sort of like really easy or just so difficult you just wanted to knock your console out the window. Oh, I can't say I've heard of that one. It does actually. Don't you dare interweb before I cut me off.
We will leave twin vapor trails in the air, white lines etched into these rocks.
Well, I hope the stream's still okay,
Dear
guys. 'Cause I
Esther,
think the interwebs is having
I have
a
burnt
funny
my
time with it.
belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jacobson? Who remembers him?
Looks like it's okay.
Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly?
cool.
Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all
Good
that I
luck,
could
dear.
draw from him.
Yeah, I just wanted to check
There
the
will be
stream was
another
still
to these
okay,
shores to
'cause it
remember
just
me.
flashed up about the quality
I
of
will
the
rise from the
interwebs being a
ocean
bit
like an
crap.
island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an aerial, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We've always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me.
Yeah,
I will
that's
look
what
to
I
my
was
right
thinking,
and see
Badger,
Paul
because after seeing
Jacobson
the
flying
Angry
beside
Video
me.
Game Nerd review
They will
Top
leave
Gun,
white lines carved into the air
and
to
how much
reach
it
the
sort of drove him
mainland,
crazy.
where help will be sent.
Wow. Graphics are so good. Okay, is my bloke committing suicide? I am so loving the graphics on this. It does look really, really nice. I have no idea what's going on because my dude went to jump off that tower and now he's flying.
How?
I don't know! This is all getting very bizarre. Especially as I've gone into this game having pretty much no buggering clue what was going on, and now he's just turned into a bird and he's flying. Now I'm sat here like, wait, what?
Oh, fuck off. Have you just put your phone on the charge?
Oh, my phone's finished now.
Okay.
So, trying to do things one-handed here and that don't work.
No, I've got a different phone for you.
Okay. Yeah, sorry guys.
Sorry. Oh god, I'll get it. There you go.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, apparently it's finished.
Oh. Well,
Okay, that was a thing, apparently.
that was very... you have got, more chapter things
Okay.
for Little Lost Polly.
And I still have no clue what's just gone on.
Oh well.
I'm just sat here like, wait, what? All I know is that he got shipwrecked on an island. He, University of Portsmouth! We get a mention, way.
Considering the fact is that neither of us went to that university.
That's not the point, it's still at the uni in our city that gets mentioned. Sorry, we're just being a bit sort of sad over here. But yeah, apparently the University of Portsmouth is an incredibly popular uni. I think it's the most popular in the country, which is why all the student accommodation keeps popping up. Because
Right.
everyone wants to come here.
Although 85%, I think it's 80% of students all come from the Asian countries.
I'm not surprised. I think a lot of them do have like quite, I think like obviously in like Oriental terms, quite well-to-do families, which is why they come here. Because obviously where Portsmouth has a very good reputation for the uni, that's why they send them all here apparently. Just some random useless information for everyone there. Developed at the University of Portsmouth, UK. So now you know.
Yeah, because I think you've got another 4 to go, I think, unless...
I don't know, I was just randomly wandering, and I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing.
Right, press resume for that.
Okay.
It's Aladdin.
Sure this was one of the caves that I've
okay.
been in.
We can still admire it again. Oh yeah, because it's because of all the cult shit.
Yeah.
But you didn't go that way, did you?
No,
You
I
went
don't.
that way, so if
Yeah.
you go that way...
Let's go this way and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, fuck it. Why not?
I wish I could have known Donnelly in this place. We would have had so much to debate. Did he paint these stones or did I? Who left the pots in the hut by the jetty? Who formed the museum under the sea? Who fell silently to his death into the frozen waters? Who erected this godforsaken aerial in the first place? Did this whole island rise to the surface of my stomach, forcing the gulls to take flight?
I can go that way. Oh no, it's all crumbled.
Stop! Oh my god.
I have no idea.
So what was your way
Except where I walked down before, I came down that way, didn't I? Oh yeah, 'cause there's that person again.
Dear Esther, I find each step harder and heavier. I drag Donnelly's corpse on my back across
Yeah,
these
what,
rocks,
sorry?
and all I hear are his whispers of guilt, his
I was
reminders,
listening
his
to what the
burnt
narrator
letters,
was
his
saying.
neatly folded clothes. He tells me I was not drunk at all.
See if I can strange it down.
There were chemical stains on the tarmac, the leak of air conditioning, brake fluid and petrol. He kept sniffing at his fingers as he sat by the roadside, waiting as if he couldn't quite understand or recognize their smell. He said he'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter. He'd stopped for farewell drinks earlier, but had kept a careful eye on his intake.
Between the stars.
You could hear the sirens above the idling traffic.
You're going to need therapy. Yep.
Yeah, like sort of basically for sort of like, if it, like we're talking about those Star Wars games, some of them are notoriously difficult. 'Cause I know Return of the Jedi on the, was it it the NES or the SNES? One
From
of them
here,
is like,
I can see my
wow, no,
armada.
being very difficult.
I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had
Oh, we
instead
have
collected at the bottom of my rucksack.
Hello.
And I spread them out along the lost beach.
Hi.
Then I took each and every one,
Ah, yeah,
and I
think this has
folded
gone
them
back
into
to
boats.
where I was.
I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
Okay, let's just redo this little bit, and then once we hit the end again, then I'll finish up the stream. Yeah, I'm doing all right. Raptor, I got offered a new job today, which I start Thursday, so that's all good.
I will drag my leg behind me. I will drag it like a crumpled hatchback, tires
I only
blown
told
and
the other one to
sparking
go
across the
poke it
dimming
because
lights of
it
my
was just
vision. I'm running out of painkillers, and I'm following the flicker of
messing
the
with my
moon
mental
home.
health, and it was just run by a
When
bunch of
Paul
dimmos.
keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they restarted his heart with the jump leads from a crumpled hatchback. It took 21 attempts to convince it to wake up.
I get my camera back. I've missed that twice. I'm so excited to see him. So, hello, Cameron. How are you?
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper.
I was listening to the narrator.
You can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fibre, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
Unless you are doing Life is Strange tomorrow.
Probably going to do Life is Strange tomorrow now. Considering those chapters take a good, like, 2.5, 3 hours to do, I thought, I'm not going to start it now.
I think I might go and watch the other. You know that Queen basically is a soundtrack.
Awesome sauce. Yeah,
If only
Gunnar's
Donnelly
being a
had
noob,
experienced
wanting to
this,
play Star Wars
he would have
on the web.
realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses,
thought of
the
it is like,
stones,
no.
the infection.
It's like your brain going, why?
So I think I played a very tiny bit of Return of the Jedi on the SNES, and it kicked my ass so hard that I've never gone back to it since.
The Resident Evil 7 demo.
I just didn't want to go into the basement on Resident Evil 7 demo, so I knew what was going to happen. Some shit was going to jump out on me.
Why get a demo of Resident Evil 7 when the developer said it would be
The
very,
stones
very
in my
scary?
stomach will weigh me down and ensure my descent is true and straight. I will break through the
No.
fog of these godforsaken pills and achieve clarity.
Give me that
All my
fucking
functions are
controller.
clogged, all my veins are choked.
Fine.
If my leg doesn't rot off before I reach the summit, it will be a
Well, I have
miracle.
found out that the Xbox One.
There are 21 connections in the circuit diagram of the anti-lock brakes. There are 21 species of gull inhabiting these islands. It is 21 miles between the Sandford Junction and the turn-off for home. All these things cannot, will not be a coincidence.
No, fan service. Kojima knows when to do a bit of fan service when it's needed. Exactly, he just thought, they're two rather attractive
Jack Jacobson back at the sea. He had not careered across the lost shores and terminal beaches of this nascent archipelago. He did not intend his bonnet to be crumpled like a spent tissue by the impact. His windscreen was not star-studded all over like a map of the heavens. His paintwork etched with circuit diagrams, strange fish to call the gulls away. The phosphorescence of the skid marks lighting the M5 all the way from Exeter to Damascus.
I can't remember.
Have you got people mentioned
Probably. Well, either way, I know I just got an achievement, so look over there. Achievements, trophies, whatever. You know, the other two, tomatoes, potatoes. What's that?
I am the Ariel. In my passing, I will send news to each and every star.
You still sulking that the Blackpool Wetherspoons didn't have your pancakes? Yeah. Well, maybe
Dear
just
Esther,
up north pancakes
I
are
have
the
burned
thing.
the cliffs
Or
of
possibly
Damascus. I have drunk deep of it.
Ah, looks
My
like I've
heart
hit
is
the
my
ending for
leg,
this bit.
and a black line etched on the paper all along this boat without a bottom. You are all the world like a nest to me. Eggs unbroken form like fossils,
Well, I'll let
come
this
together,
run and then I'll
send
probably
small
finish
black
up the
flowers to the air. From this
Yeah, so sorry to
infection,
those that are
hope.
having to watch this bit over
From this
again. I just wanted
island,
to see if there was
flight.
anything different.
From
I
this
could
grief,
trigger.
love.
But go do the thing, like, share, subscribe, and for those people that can, if you can financially support the channel, that'd be awesome. But true, yeah, you feed me and give me a slap now and again when I need it. But obviously not financially. Supporting the channel isn't like an obligation thing. Thank you for that.
You said thank you. Oh.
But yeah, sort of like if you can't financially support the channel, don't worry. Just being here and doing the thing is helpful. Yeah, this is when it all got a bit weird, and I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah, if you jump, that would then that's what. Because that's gravity.
What? Chucking yourself down the stairs? Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, don't go on me Roman Reigns stuff. You do that falling down the stairs. Yeah, so I'm just a bit like, wait, what? What I might do is maybe faff about with this game offline at some point and see if there are any other thingies I can do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that.
What, the shadow going along the
Reflection, mate.
shadow reflection?
It was on water, it was a fucking reflection. Shadow is on ground.
Whatever. I wasn't paying that much attention to what it was above.
Don't make me fight you.
I haven't got the energy to fight.
I will win. Somehow.
Probably would actually.
What's that card on that on the top of?
Oh, I think that was to do with my I think it was my first aid training. Can I skip the credits?
There you go.
There we go. Right, okay, so that was a thing, apparently.
It was very, 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 very quick.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to sort of finish up that quick, so what I might do is maybe faff about offline to see if there's other things that I can do, and then I might do another stream at some point in the future. Maybe, and be like, look, I discovered a thing, it does other stuff. But thank you to everyone who popped in tonight, all much appreciated. Thank you, Gunner Bloodhowl, Deluxe Raptor, Classic Gamer, Badger, such as he is, Mrs.
Hi. I'm fine, I'll just get the final...
and me, obviously, because
You're thanking yourself?
Yeah.
You thanking yourself?
Thanking myself for being here
My
tonight.
God, you egotistical bitch!
I'd like to thank all my fans, my family.
You need my bloody trophy for that damn T-shirt.
Yeah, I need to get your Oscar, yeah. I got my gold bottle, that'll do. I'd like to thank all my fans.
What did you win? You said award?
Shush now. What, I'm allowed to be silly? It's my stream, I can if I want to. Oh, shush now. Don't start.
Don't start.
But thank you everyone for turning up. So last time I let you in on the stream, now go and do something useful. We're going to take the mickey.
I'm not taking the mickey. I am loving and supporting you with everything you do.
And I'm trying to sign off my stream and they're watching you go my ear
Okay,
up.
fine, I'll shut up.
Now I've got the giggles, great. But yeah, thank you everyone for turning up, and hopefully I'll be back tomorrow with a stream. So I'll see you all in the next video. Bye! And like, share, subscribe and stuff.
Bye.